All right, let's run it back. A little snooze, a Pepsi, because it's 10 p.m. But I want to get this video out. You hear how I say I want to get this video out and not I have to get this video out. Small difference, but makes a big difference to your mind and how you perceive the world, okay? Nobody's forcing me to make this video and stay up late, even though I'm going to work. I want to do it. There's a big difference. My state of mind, or where I'm at right now, is a lot better than where I was when I made the last video. And once again, and I think that this is not a flaw, but I don't really plan my videos when I do them. Which then means that maybe sometimes I rant or I go on and talk about things and it's not too structured. But I actually think that's a strength, because I think it comes across as more authentic and I speak my mind better. It's almost like you're doing a mind map of sorts. You know, I just speak what comes to mind, and I like doing it. And if you do not like it, then you just don't have to watch, you know? So I'm in a much better state of mind now than when I did the video, which is nice. And once again, I do not take that for granted. And guys, I'm so happy about the feedback that you gave me, the response, you know. There was a lot of you out there who shared your stories. And you said that you could really relate and you know, yeah, you understood what I was talking about, and maybe some of you guys just enjoy to listen and hear me vent or rant a bit. So I had no idea it would be so appreciated, honestly. So thank you for the very nice response. And there was a fella, I'm not sure what his name is, I'm sorry man, but he left a comment and he said something like, you know, he pointed out that I was, I guess in a sense, minimizing myself. You know, I was saying that I was bitching, complaining, moaning. And he said like, bro, you can just say vent or ranting. It's okay, you're a human. You can feel stuff and talk about them. And you know what? That really, really resonated with me. I know that's an issue I have and one I've had in the past. And if I want to deep dive it, explore it, I think it comes from my childhood. I don't know. I was just never really allowed to actually express how I felt. It was very commonly met with not a great time. So I spent a lot of my childhood walking around on eggshells, which then probably formed this sort of like toxic habit I have of never being able to complain. But the positive side to that, the silver lining, super meta and ironic. So the silver lining to that is that I always manage to see the silver lining or see the positive way or the output of things, which I guess is like a survival or coping mechanism or habit. But honestly, man, that's a good trait to have. It's a good skill to have. Being able to see both sides of the coin, realizing that the world or situations are pretty much never black or white. It's never that simple. I actually made up my own quote a couple of years back. And this was many years ago, maybe 3 years ago or something. So the fact that I still think it's a good quote, because, you know, obviously we grow, evolve as humans, we become better, we get new perspectives. So maybe, for example, if you made a YouTube video a couple of years back or an essay, if you were to watch it today, you would think, man, that was garbage, that was awful, because you've evolved or grown. But this quote that I came up with is one that I still think is really good today, even though it's been so many years. So either I'm not growing, or it's just a quote I really resonate with. And that quote is that, wait, let me think of it properly. What was the quote? Yes, so the quote is, in a world that's black and white, the one that sees color is deemed the crazy one. And I really resonate with that. You know, in a world where, you know, there's no nuance, there's only right or wrong, this or that, or just literally Imagine a colorless world. If you were able to see the nuances, the perspectives, or the actual colors of the world, then you would be deemed the crazy one. Even though, I mean, a world that's colorless, black or white, is the crazy one, not the way around. You know, I think there's some value to that. And so in my last video, I spent a lot of the time talking about like spirituality and maybe some esoteric topics, which I usually don't speak too much about that open, you know. I usually only speak about those things when invited to do it, or when I sort of think that those people won't judge me or think I'm weird or crazy. But I really enjoy doing that, and nobody has called me crazy on the last video. Even if they were to, I shouldn't let that impact me or stop me. So I want to talk more about that, because growing up, I grew up in a very so my mom is not religious in any way, shape or form, but my dad has always been very Christian, a traditional Christian, I would say. What am I supposed to do with this pole thingy, man, brother? And now what? And now what? Hello? What? I wonder if you can use this pole to get over here. Okay, how then? Am I stupid, bro? 24-year-old, by the way. I can't figure out this for a kid's game. Do I just let go of it at the top? It doesn't work. Hello? Wow. Am I stupid? Alright, anyways, so growing up, my mom not religious, my dad very religious, traditional Christian. My grandmother also very traditional Christian. And I saw some perspectives of like how they acted or treated people or resonated or navigated the world, and I did not resonate with it. And I was at times a bit forced maybe into that view, and I didn't like it. So I spent most of my childhood years, not childhood, but younger years, being very much of an atheist. I didn't believe in God, I didn't believe in a higher power or anything like that. And I was, not only that, I was a cynical atheist, really rejected all of those things, thought it was just like a bunch of bullshit, made up stuff. But when I was 16 years old, I had a stress-induced psychosis, which really brought my life upside down. It was a very, very tough and challenging time. And long story short, this psychosis made me drop out of high school, and I became depressed. I gained a ton of weight. I was already not in the best shape, but antipsychotic medicines I had made me gain a bunch of weight. I actually can't figure this out. It tells me just to keep mashing. Should I just... Okay, I am actually stupid. So I went on antipsychotics, gained a bunch of weight, hungry all the time, sluggish, tired, no drive, no motivation. And then I was just like very depressed, empty, fed up, and I was like, I can't live my life like this. This is just not a worthy life to live. And at that time, where I started to have these thoughts, I decided I wanted to commit going to the gym. But it's tricky. Somewhere around here, I started to feel like I was being so incredibly guided and assisted on this journey to get my life in shape and in order. It's just like, I just knew what to do. I just had no trouble at all getting to the gym, even though I was very overweight, insecure. I don't know. That process should have been a hard one, but to be completely honest, it was not a hard one. It was pretty smooth sailing, not difficult, not challenging. And I'm not sure if it's the chicken or the egg situation, but somewhere here I started to become more open-minded and really questioning if my cynical atheist worldview were correct, or if there perhaps was more to life than just being brought here by reproduction and we die here and that's it. And I had some experiences too where I could feel sort of like a presence, something deeper. Jesus, this level is kind of hard, honestly. Am I just very bad? I started to, I guess, question or see life a bit differently. And I wasn't as close-minded. I'm not saying everyone that is an atheist is close-minded. Not at all. But I was. I definitely was. I was not open to hearing people's thoughts, ideas, perspectives. It was my way or the highway. So that kind of journey started with me being a bit more invested or interested in the Christian philosophy, values, worldview. And for a long while, I was that, like in the quite traditional Christian sense. But then I started to read some other books, some other materials. I started to broaden my view a bit. A book that I can really recommend, guys, is called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. That book honestly changed my life. Talks about the present moment, how it's really the only thing that we do have in life, you know. The past is the present moment before. The future is the present moment further in the future. It makes a lot of sense, and it's not anything groundbreaking at all. But at least I hadn't thought about it that way, that literally all we have in life is the now. Okay, you will never have anything than this current moment. This moment I have right now where I'm playing Sonic Unleashed and I'm getting my ass whooped by some mobs, and I have an iPhone 17 Pro recording me, and I'm using my vocal cords to talk with literally no one into a camera. This is all that you have in life, the moment. And for you, the viewer, you hearing my voice, maybe you're driving, maybe you have this in the background while you're going through the web, maybe you're watching me play this. This is all that you have in life, the current moment, the now. And when you realize that, at least for me, it was a huge change in perspective in how I decided to navigate life. And sort of around that time, I also started to think about Jesus. I really like Jesus. I resonate with him. I think he's a wonderful guy, amazing guy. And like I said, for a while, I had a very traditional Christian worldview. But then I started to read a bit more, look into things. And when you look at what Jesus actually was saying, you know, it a lot of the times is not compatible with traditional Christianity, the church, the entire umbrella term, what being a Christian is, or Christianity. A lot of the things don't go together with the word of Christ, or what he was trying to tell us, or ultimately what he died for. So I would say right now, if I had to put into words, maybe I'm a mythical Christianity, or whatever it's called. I don't know the proper word. I don't think it's called mythical Christianity. But I think Jesus is an amazing guy. Love the guy. Big inspiration. Just amazing, the message he spread. And what he stands for. Loving your neighbor. All of that's good stuff. But also, realizing if you are open to these kind of things in life, and you realize that maybe you have some abilities, some senses, some things that can't be established by science, sort of like a sixth sense, just knowing things, telepathy, intuition, these kind of things. Life begins for the second time in your life. Because I'm not saying this to convince anyone, or I don't have any incentive to convince anyone. I'm just sharing my thoughts. But it's real. It's real. And it's weird once or if you understand that it is real and you start to see it in your life. And one of the things is that in order to be guided, to get clarity, you have to be at peace and you have to learn to listen. A lot of the times in our life we are under constant stimulation, and we are stressed and busy and never get a moment to breathe or relax. So if God or the universe, whatever terminology fits you better, is trying to speak to you, but you are never listening, then how are you supposed to, how is he or the world or it supposed to get through to you? Oh shit. You know, you have to learn to listen. You have to learn to listen. And for that it needs to be stillness. And you have to be aligned. You know, if your diet is poor, how are you supposed to have a gut feeling? How are you supposed to know then when your intuition is screaming and saying, oh my God, I don't feel good. This is not a good idea. Don't do this, John or Emma, to refer to the people from last video. How are you supposed to know that's what's going on if your body randomly feels like that because your diet is trash or because you are stressed and anxious all the time? When you get order of these things and you spend most of your waking time where your body and your mind feels at peace and relaxed, then you will know something is up, or someone is trying to tell you something when your body suddenly feels awful. I'll give you an example. I will give you an example. Last summer, with the help of my dad, he did me a great service. I got in a sense, my first car. Now, this car was a deal that was kind of too good to be true. It like made no sense. The price was very low for what they were selling. So, you know, we test drove the car, we looked at things, and you know, there was, you know, a bit sketchy things with the like previous owners and maybe some parts of the car, but not nearly enough to not warrant a purchase. So I decided to purchase the car, and at the exact moment where I decided to purchase the car and I shook hands with the previous owner, somebody at this parking lot we were at, oh my God, bro. Somebody at this parking lot where we were at, he drove his car into like some of those like stone thingies or like blocks or whatever, and absolutely ruined his car, the front part. It was just like destroyed, completely messed up. So at that exact moment where I decided to shake his hand and commit to the deal, this happened. And once again, I'm a quite spiritual guy. I look for signs, I look for synchronicities, I look for meanings. And logically, if at the literal exact moment I shake my hand on something that I've been questioning or a bit suspicious of, and an external situation like that happens, it is usually not a good sign. It's a point where you're like, geez, what did I just do? This has to be a sign, this has to be a mistake. But at that exact moment where this person ruined their car and I shake his hand and I think about it logically, the exact thought process that I just had, I look around and into my inside state of mind, or like how my body feels, and I don't feel a thing. I am at peace. I'm not concerned. I'm not anxious. I'm unbothered. And that was my intuition working as it should. You know, logically my head was analyzing and being like, yo, this is not good. But my higher intuition or knowledge told me, you're fine, bro. You're absolutely fine. I've had that car now for over half a year, and it hasn't been any problems at all. It's been great. So I was guided by my intuition. Now imagine that situation if I was not aligned and I constantly, yeah, you get the point. I don't have to overexpress myself. So being aligned and that stuff is very important. So if you are not like exercising regularly, you know, taking care of your diet. Oh, this is my chance, he said. I'm dumb. Hello? Oh, I'm so whack. Yeah. So, anyways, you understand my point. You understand my point. I'm trying to lock in a bit here. Yo. This game is hard. Like, granted, I'm not able to fully focus right now. Holy. Is there no more lives there, man? I may be cooked, guys. Throw it! Oopa! I just died. Oh my god. How do you beat this thing, bro? Jeez. Imagine being like an 8-year-old trying to beat this. But that's actually a good point. Everything is so dumbed down these days. When the original Sonic game came out, you got lives, and when you were out of lives, you had to redo the entire game. There were no checkpoints and stuff. Maybe that's a bit excessive, but games today are so easy. I mean, they hold your hand. If you guys have seen those memes, there's some really good memes where people are like, if X game were made today, and it's like constant voice, constant dialogue with tips literally every second. You know, the games are not challenging, and you just constantly, I don't know, everything is dumbed down and accustomed to the attention economy, and I don't think it's doing us justice. We don't necessarily need more instant gratification. We don't. We need to be more patient these days, because you never have to be patient. One thing that I also thought about quite recently is when I was younger, I remember I was like, there was quite often where I was bored out of my mind, like just incredibly bored, where I just to the point where I didn't even know what to do. And I don't think that has happened to me for a very, very, very long time, because you can always get stimulation. There's always a video to watch. There's always somebody that's fighting for your attention. That kind of goes hand in hand with the thing I said that, You have to learn to listen, and there has to be some stillness in your life. Because being constantly stimulated by a meaningless TikTok short or news about a family in Iran just got bombed and obliterated is not doing the best for your mental health and your sanity. Trust me, brother. That doesn't allow you or excuse being ignorant or unaware. But there also gets to a point where you have to realize that you can't save the world by yourself. You can't impact everything. So the question is then, if a family in Iran is bombed to death and you get the news of it, are you actually going to act or do something different in that current moment, or change your opinion? Most of the time, probably no. But when you see that news article, will it cause you distress and maybe worry? Yes, it will. So what are you then gaining from that? Is it doing you any justice? Hopefully you understand what I mean. I'm not promoting to be uninformed or like not having empathy or sympathy, not at all. But you also have to take into account what it's doing to you. And one thing I will tell you guys, that with this constant stimulation and horrible things you hear about the world and the news and the things, it's easy to think that life is messed up and it's crazy and it's just like a dark place to be at. But when you look behind the noise and when you look behind all these shock value things, if you look at actual humans like you and me day to day, we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good as a species. We're not doing very well as a race in the grand scheme. We're not doing very well as politicians, as economic systems, as labor, as all of these things. But as humans, we're doing pretty well. And most people are good, and most people have a good heart and want to help and do not support the violence toward one another. And my last video is a proof of that, if you're looking at the comments there. So obviously this video is different. I'm in a very different mood to the last one I did. But I enjoyed talking, sharing my thoughts just like I did last time. And somebody suggested that I pick up streaming. I actually did stream a bit in the past. So we'll see, maybe I'll do that. And maybe I'll do some other different kind of content, but still, I want the center of my content to be about being authentic. Is the simplest way I can express it. So it doesn't have to be about me ranting or playing games per se, but it has to be authentic. And I want to express myself and share my thoughts and try to help people. It's something that I'm very passionate about in this life. I'm a dietitian, I'm a personal trainer, and I'm a health coach. I've always wanted to help people in different ways. So it's something I'm passionate about. And the beautiful thing about wanting to help others is that it can be done in so many ways. It doesn't have to be as boxed in as literally helping someone by doing service for them or helping them with the task. Helping people can be by sharing perspectives, by sharing an input, by entertaining others, by laughing, sharing a story, by smiling at a stranger. I don't know. You get what I mean. Maybe it's a bit corny, but if me sharing my thoughts, my perspectives, by sharing my stories and delving a bit into spirituality can help someone, then that means the world to me. By the way, in my last video, the background music is solfeggio frequencies, which has the intention to help people. And honestly, I'm too lazy to explain solfeggio frequencies or different hertz. But it's about vibration and frequencies. And maybe that's a topic for another video. But right now, guys, I'm calling it here. Hope this was of value to someone, and let's see you in a next video, whatever that may be. And share your thoughts, share some topics, because I always love to hear other people's perspective and inputs and thoughts. This has been Scrollpan.